Okay, so let's get right into it. When you think of a spy, you probably picture some kind of action hero, right? But their most powerful weapon? It's not a gadget. It's their mind. The skills they use to master languages, memorize just tons of information, and solve impossible problems. These aren't superpowers. They're a set of mental tools that, believe it or not, anyone can learn. Here's the thing about real spy work. It's way less about car chases and a lot more about mastering cognitive skills. We're talking persuasion, memory, creative analysis. It's really about outthinking the opposition, not just outmaneuvering them. So in this explainer, we're going to crack open that mental toolkit. We'll look at how they learn any language, build these incredible memories, read social situations, think creatively under pressure, and then, the best part, how you can start using these exact same techniques yourself. All right, first up, language. Now, you might think the goal is to sound like a perfect native speaker, but for an intelligence officer, there are actually two very different missions and two very different approaches when it comes to learning a new language. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. On one hand, you've got deep proficiency, the kind of thing the Defense Language Institute drills into people. But for a lot of agents in the field, the goal is actually something called operational fluency. And why is that? Well, think about it. Being too good can actually make you suspicious. If you're an American tourist who suddenly speaks flawless regional Farsi, that's a huge red flag. The real goal is just to be conversational enough to build trust and get by without setting off any alarms. So how do they get there so fast? The secret is total immersion. And this is a technique you can absolutely copy. It's all about creating a language bubble right where you live. Change your phone's language settings. Watch movies in that language. And here's a big one. Learn words in full sentences, not just by themselves, so you get the context. A really powerful trick is called shadowing, where you just listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say word for word. It trains your mouth to make the right sounds, even before you have to think about it. Okay, let's move on to memory. We're going to look at a technique that was literally invented in ancient Greece, but is still one of the most important tools for a modern spy. And this isn't about just having a good memory. It's about having a trained one. And this story about brain coach Jim Quick just perfectly illustrates the point. After a head injury as a kid, he really struggled to learn. He was literally told he had a broken brain. But by using these kinds of techniques, he completely rewired his own ability to learn. It just proves that a powerful memory is a skill you build, not some gift you're born with. So how do they do it? Well, the main technique is the memory palace. The idea is simple. You take a place you know incredibly well, like your own house, and you turn it into a mental cheat sheet. You place different facts or ideas on different objects along a path in your mind. And you can start building one right now. Seriously, mentally stick your top 3 priorities for the day on your bathroom mirror. Put that tricky formula you need to learn on the door of your fridge. You can even use your other senses. Try chewing a specific flavor of gum when you study a certain topic, and then chew that same flavor during the test. That sensory link is a powerful, powerful trigger for recall. Now, to really lock that information in, spies don't just reread their notes. They use active recall. It's a method called the brain dump. You study for a short burst, say 10 minutes. Then you close the book and write down from memory everything you can remember. It forces your brain to actually retrieve the information, and studies have shown this can literally double how much you remember compared to just passively reading. A spy has to be able to read a room and influence what happens in it. This isn't mind control, it's about mastering 2 things: situational awareness and something called social engineering, which is basically just the art of getting people to willingly tell you or give you things. To train these skills, MI6 has this exercise called Perfect Stranger, and the mission is exactly what you see here. Just take a second and actually think about that. How would you even begin to approach that challenge without the other person getting totally creeped out and walking away? It's tougher than it sounds. So what's the secret? It's not one specific trick. It's the ability to create a plausible pretext, basically a cover story that makes your weird request seem totally normal. One agent pretended he needed passport details for people who wanted a ride on his imaginary boat. Another posed as a researcher doing a fake survey. The goal is to reframe the whole interaction so you're not just some random weird stranger. And to stay aware of their surroundings at all times, spies and even fighter pilots use a really simple but powerful framework, the OODA loop. First, you observe what's going on. Then you orient yourself. You figure out what's normal for that situation, and you spot anything that seems out of place. Based on that, you decide what to do. And finally, you act. It's a constant cycle that helps you process the world around you and respond super effectively. Gathering all this information is really only half the battle. The best intelligence analysts are masters of creative thinking. They know how to connect the dots in ways that no one else sees to solve problems that seem completely impossible. Why Their Secret Weapons is a simple little acronym, WOMBAT. Instead of asking a narrow question like, "Where's Waldo?" which only has one right answer, an analyst reframes it. They ask, "What might be all the ways we could find Waldo?" See how that little shift just blows the problem wide open? It invites all kinds of creative new solutions. The CIA also encourages analysts to get out of their dog zone, that's their comfort zone, their area of expertise, and to step into the wolf zone. And what that means is actively looking for ideas from completely different fields. Instead of asking another analyst for help, they might ask, "How would a fashion designer solve this?" Or "What would a magician do?" The whole point is to borrow ideas from totally unrelated worlds to find a truly new solution. And this brings us to the power of breaking patterns. The CIA actually has a dedicated team called the Red Cell, their nickname is the Otters, and their entire job is to challenge assumptions and think differently. Sometimes the best solution is the one nobody sees coming. Take the famous Argo mission. It worked because it was so loud and audacious, it completely broke the pattern of a quiet, stealthy rescue. Okay, so now that we've seen all the tools in the spy's toolkit, let's talk about your first mission, how to actually apply these techniques in your own life. Look, this stuff isn't just for covert ops. You can use immersion to get amazing at a new piece of software for your job. You can build a memory palace to absolutely crush your next presentation. Use the OODA loop to walk into a chaotic networking event and feel totally in control. And use Wombat to brainstorm a solution at work that nobody else has thought of. These are real cognitive tools for everyday life. And to round out your toolkit, here are 3 last little hacks. First, the urgency trick. Set a 30-minute timer for whatever you're doing. That little bit of pressure tricks your brain into hyper-focus. Next, link what you're learning to physical action. Walk around while you study or use hand gestures. And finally, the learning chaos trick. Train your focus by studying with some background noise, like cafe sounds. You'll become immune to distractions. So what's the big takeaway here? You've seen the blueprint. You've looked inside the toolkit that intelligence agencies use to turn regular people into incredible learners and thinkers. These methods aren't secret because they're magic. They're secret because they take discipline. Your brain is the most powerful weapon you will ever have. The only real question left is, what mission are you going to give it?